Okay, this is critical. Let's go through it. You'll understand what we learned yesterday. So the top, you see shofar not slash dash, coil stam, and below that, the next paragraph is shofar coil godel. It's all to explain that Meitzar and merchav is relative. So what are these two dargis? This is all based on the tzemach tzedek. So shofar coil stam, ordinary shofar, not the shofar gadol. What's the source? The source is keser kifisha nimshach bebina. That's why it's all hyphenated, because keser, as it is drawn in bina, as opposed to, we'll see, pnimius hakeser or atik. So from there, bina v'achakach letiferes. So that is the merchav to the mitzar of the ordinary shofar. We're going from keser as it is revealed in bina, and then tiferes, which in general is atzilus. But then it comes even further in brackets of mishom lemalchus, and from there the coil, which is relative to words and letters, is still poshet. It's not differentiated, relatively speaking. This coil that goes from the merchav to the mitzar is still a coil in all of its levels. In the words of Isaiah, like a klal. And then it comes down into malchus, this malchus atzilus, oishis hadibur Hashem's speech. And that is the two psukim he quotes. Let's look at them now. Below the line, Naftali ayola shlucha. Naftali is like a sent deer, hanois in Imri Shefer, who utters beautiful words. So I underline the word shlucha and Imri Shefer, because that's what the tzemach tzedek is explaining. This is the source of it is the Zoya, but the tzemach tzedek puts it and connects it to the shofar. So the shlucha means it's sent. The Imri Shef, the Imri Shefer is two words there. Imre is the dibur, that's malchus. It comes from Shefer, from tiferes, from beauty, from tiferes, which is itself came from keser as is drawn into bina. That's the level of Shefer. Let's look at the top of the page again. Merchav Shefer, that's also expressed in the pasuk in Shir Hashirim. Umedabercha nove, your words are beautiful. So the words there also is malchus, and the beauty that is the source of it all. That's tiferes, which is rooted in keser as it's drawn into bina. That's ordinary shofar, and the shluch is underlined because. Look at the Zoya. We'll just look at the English at the bottom of the page. Because sound directs speech. And that sound is sent from a deep place. That's hinted to in the words, Naftali ayola shlucha. The sound conducts the words, like the general principle produces the details. So the word is koil stam. The word is malchut atzilus. And the koil has a merchav and a mitzar. The mitzar, the narrow end is tiferes, but it's drawn on the broad end, which is keser, is drawn into bina. Extraordinary level. In summary, it's atzilus. Not just atzilus, but the source of it, the merchav, is keser. But keser, as it is drawn and invested in bina. As he says in the Maimer, that's all the yin of keser, yin of tainug, and tainug, it's tainug, is expressed in bina. However, now the next paragraph, shofar godol, that's already a whole different level, and that is not the section below the line is all shofar stam. That's all elaboration of shofar stam. But shofar godol is a whole different level. That's atik mamish. That's the merchav, keset atik. And what's the mitzar? Where's it drawn to? Shenimshach lebina da'arich. It's still in keser. And what's the mitzar is bina of arich, like arich, Kesed has two levels. Pnimius and Chitzonius. Atik is the Pnimius, Arik is the Chitzonius. And the 10 Svidus exist there in a way of Eshes Svidus Agnosis, as we learned. It's even in Atik, but at any rate, that was the Maimon of Shubal, so we learned in great detail. So the Shofar Godel is the Merchav, is Mamash Atik, and the Meitzar is Bina of Arich. And then, what's the words over there? It's not the classic Oisius, but it goes to the Pnimis Malchus, and that's Oisius Machshova. Here, the Koil Poshut, much more Poshut than the Koil of a Shofar Stam. So how is it expressed? What's the protim? What's the articulation of the Shofar Godel? It's not Oisius Adibur, not God's speech, but God's thoughts. Oisius Machshova. That's what we're up to right now in the Maimon. Is this somewhat clear, folks? Yeah. Just remember that the below the line, that's all Shofar Stam. That's the liberation of a Tzemach Tzedek, who connects the Zohar with the union of Shofar. Shofar Stam, and then contrast it to Shofar Godel. Now we'll pick up the Maimer where we're up to. It's a pity yesterday was a huge crowd, and today when we're explaining it, Deilam Schlaft. No. Disappointing. Okay. Zehu, by the square brackets now. Zehu. After having explained he was dealing with, explaining why the contrast of Shofar Stam and Shofar Godel, they will understand why the Shofar Godel is when is it going to be sounded? It's Losid Lovei. Understand now why Shofar Godel, as we just explained what it is. It's the Gilui of Pnimius of Kesed of Atik in Bina of Arich, and then manifested in the Dibur. There's not Dibur Mamash, but Eitzis Machshova, which are very still internal within the Mashpiyah. So understand why that's revealed Lasid Lavai. You talk about Shofar Godel, what's going to be sounded then is the great Shofar. The difference between the ordinary sound or voice is Shaykh Shofar Stam, the Kel Godel, in contrast to the great sound. Shaykh Shofar Godel, who Shekoil Stam, ordinary voice, ordinary sound. How is it manifested in speech, in words? That's Alma Disgalia, that's the revealed worlds, revealed in terms, revealed in the sense of revealed, emerging as separate from Hashem. But for Koil Godel, that's ordinary Koil that produces Dibur. But the Koil Godel, Koil Godel, which is the Pnimius of Kesed, Pnimius of Atik, so what does it produce? What is its revealed? What's the Giloi there? Not Oisius HaDibur that address someone outside of me, but Oisius HaMachshava, Alma Diskasia, the hidden worlds. Hashem's thought is the hidden worlds. And that's what's going to be revealed. The Mashiach comes, and therefore it's a Shofar Godel. So it goes on to say, given Shalasad Lava Yimshagam, Pchinas Alma Diskasia, Lasad Lava be revealed also. Not that there won't be Malchus Datzilis manifested. There'll be the Dibur also, but the Dibur of Hashem, the Dvar Hashem will be suffused with the thoughts of Hashem, which currently are concealed. Alma Diskasia. Liyas Begilui K'may B'chinas Alma Disgalia Darshav, revealed like Alma Disgalia. Now we see creation and it's real and tangible. So will we see then the hidden reality, the divine. And that's exactly what the Shofar Godel is. And that's the gili of the shofar gadol is amachshava. Yumshach os b'chinas kol gadol, and therefore it's going to be then the kol gadol. She's only the shofar gadol, which is one thing with the shofar gadol. But what do we see here? Why is he bringing this whole thing? To explain the Hameitzar. And obviously he's bringing a parallel from shofar, because we're talking about Hameitzar just before Tkiyah shofar. Concludes. So we see now the different levels now in shofar stam, shofar gadol. You will understand also gam chiluki adargas being Hameitzar the shofar. Understand also, as we just explained, and you see on the sheet, the difference between the narrow end of the shofar, one end is narrow, that's either tiferes or bina. The Mitzar is each level according relative to its level. Therefore, even a person goes out of the limitations of the ordinary shofar, which means he's already connecting to the level of what? Of the merchav of the ordinary shofar, which is kesed, it's drawn into bina. That's still a Mitzar compared to the shofar gadol, because the shofar gadol is pnimis atik. So it's all relative. Okay, again, consulting the sheet, you can see where the merch of a Mitzar is for each of the two shofars respectively. The merchav of shofar stam is kesed, it's drawn into bina. That's the merchav. The Mitzar, the narrow end of the great shofar, is kesed, it's drawn into bina of arich, still within kesed. And that's Mitzar. So that's a merchav relative. So therefore, the merchav of keser stam is a Mitzar relative to the Mitzar even of the shofar gadol. The highest level of shofar stam is lower than the lowest level of shofar gadol. The Mitzar of the shofar gadol is higher than the merchav, right, of the shofar. You can see that clearly, yes, in the sheet. So now we can explain what we say before we blow the shofar. That even though he's after the avodah of Chedesh Elul, Yemei Asliches, and Erev Rosh Hashanah, and Leil Rosh Hashanah night, the Boker Rosh Hashanah lifted the shofar, and he's also gone through, and is holding by the level of Rosh Hashanah in the morning before Tkiyah Shofar, the final Lachona. So Bavade Nimtzoim Kva B'Mayim the Matzav Shal Yitzim and Hameitzar, certainly the Yid is already gone beyond constraint in Mitzar. Nonetheless, Mitzar, it's still a narrow place, like Gabi Dargas Talis Yoser, relative to higher levels. Yoser, and even deeper. Now, what's Baimek Yoser? It's not just that it's relative. He wants to bring out that Adarabba, the way to get and connect to the broadest levels is dafka through the understanding of the Mitzar, of the levels that preceded. Baimek Yoser, Shedafke lachritzim and Hameitzar shenatzal the Agdomas haved the Chedesh Elul. It's dafka to the Yid he's constantly breaking the boundaries that all began with avodah of Elul, etc., all the way to Boker Rosh Hashanah lifnit Tkiyah shofar, all the way to Rosh Hashanah in the morning before blowing shofar. So Andra, because he's going through this process of going out of boundary and then reaching a new level and going out of that boundary and so on, So then he truly appreciates the final climactic moment that min hametzar. As a boim lakora, it comes to the recognition shegam avodah the bedarga yesenailis, the loftiest level. It's a adain bechinas meitzar to meitzar, dafka, because he's gone through those series and stages of avodah. In contrast to just being on one level, and you could say it's a nice level, okay, relative to the level he could achieve, it's Meitzar. Saying more than that, the level he stands now, Rosh Hashanah, and the one between before Tkir Shofar, is a whole process that he's gone from one Meitzar to the other to the other. From one Meitzar to a Merchav and then to another Merchav, more accurately. So what does this give? This makes him appreciate what? That the loftiest levels, whatever level he achieved, it's all Meitzar. Why? Because the Gabi Atzmos, all levels are naught. The last machshava tvisa beklal, no thought can grasp them at all. I feel that machshava akdum medak, this primary thought, akdum, the primal thought of Adam Kadmon. Even that is a Meitzar. Imkein gam kasher avidos bedargas hayis analysis, even when his avodas very lofty, eine teifes klal nemt garnit. He takes nothing. That's the simple translation. Eine teifes klal. He takes nothing. It doesn't say eine teifes mokim klal. Eine teifes klal nemt garnit.
He's speaking about les machshava tvisa bay, not kula kamek lo chashiv.
Yeah, he's taking nothing of the Eibishter and nemt garnit. He's left with nothing because every level is a Mitzar. And he says, Be'emes men ha-Mitzar karos. Yeah. Yes, gentlemen.
The reason he's not getting les machshava tvisa bay klal has nothing to do with Meitzar.
I'm sorry?
This that as a nemt garnish has nothing to do with Meitzar. Les machshava tvisa bay klal.
Right, and therefore, and nemt garnet, he's really not really connecting. He has nothing, and therefore he calls out ben ha-Mitzar. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
יש להוסיף שינויים מהמיצר שיש בדרגת הישראלית בעבודה. Now this min ha-Mitzar, I mean a constraint that exists at the loftiest levels. Why? Mitzad zeh shekula k'mekelo chashiv. Because every level is of no significance. Less machshava tvisa beklal, and no thought, no level can contain him and them to garnet. So who be'ofen this in such a way, quoting Rashi, she sold oisin atzman roshin. Yidden make themselves poor, as opposed to actually being poor, as you explain. When Rashi explains the Gemara that the pasuk says Mereshis without an aleph, which can be read Reishis poor, and the Gemara says Shani Shireshis Tchilosa, a year that's poor. In the beginning, Misasher as Achrisa. In the end, there's a future. It's rich. Now Rashi explained, what does it mean? Poor in the beginning, that Yidden make themselves poor by supplicating and pleading before God, rather than coming with rightful demands based on their merits. So the Rebbe is being medayik, the lashon here, oisin atzman. Why oisin atzman? We just said the Yid is misbain, and he realizes and them to garnet, and he's in a matzav min ha-Mitzar. Why is this Oisin Atzmon, it meaning to say it's something that he, the word for it, that he makes himself
self-induced.
Self-induced could mean it's real. Oisin Atzmon mean it's not real. It's a pretense. It's an element of behavior which is not really reflective of what is. But that's Lashon of Rashi. You'd make themselves tachanonim. Now, why is it not true? The Rebbe said before, surely it's got to be be'emes. And he gave a whole explanation that it is be'emes. Min ha'mitzar, we just finished it. But now the fact is, Rashi says that it's oisin atzman. So how do we reconcile? This is the question he's asking now. How do we reconcile now? We explained the Taka is min ha'mitzar. The highest levels he realizes, like Abba Atzmos is a mitzar. So it's not oisin atzman. It's sincere and real. No, it really is oisin atzman. Why? So it's explained in the Likutei Torah where you ask Hashem, in your great mercies have mercy upon us. The diak is, you just ask God to have mercy upon us. Of course it's His mercy. What do you have to say? Barachamecha Rabim. Just say Rachem Aleinu, like we say Taka in other places, like in benching. What's the dik Barachamecha Rabim? Explains the Alter Rebbe, your mercy, because we don't really feel the big rachmanas. You have rachmanas on us because you understand really the rachmanas on us. We're not just talking about someone who is so low that he doesn't feel the rachmanas on him. Even someone is a very lofty level. What's his whole mitzar? But relative to the higher level, higher, he's in a mitzar. On him too, there's a tremendous rachmanas. He's going to soon end, but still, we don't feel it. Even the loftiest world, the term, we had this in the Maamar of Eschanon, friends, if you recall. There too, it is applicable to say it's a rachmanis on them. They're all insignificant. However, so it's all true. But what's oisin atzman? Given shemeitzar, since the loftiest levels are only a mitzar relative to the Eibusher himself, since we can't appreciate who God is, therefore, since we can't grasp the Eibusher, then we can't appreciate how insignificant we are. We say the words, we have some appreciation, but not truly. Why? Because we cannot grasp Him. If we cannot grasp Him, then we can't appreciate our own paucity, our own insignificance. Only He, that He is the knowledge and He knows His essence, and the preciousness of the beauty of His greatness. That all before Him is His Lord. Only He knows the rachmanis, therefore so now therefore we understand the Rashi. Even the mitzar, why is he having rachmanis? Because he realizes his narrow strait, his narrowness, insignificance. We cannot feel it the way it is truly. The true insignificance is b'gabei atzmos. We can't grasp atzmos. So you didn't make themselves. We acknowledge on some instinctual level, intellectually, we understand our insignificance, even the loftiest levels. We're making ourselves poor, but we don't really feel our impoverishment. We can't. because you cannot grasp the Eibishter. Clear? That's Oisim Atzmo Roshin. Now he's going to say a very big thing. We can't grasp God. It's not our fault. He made it that way. So therefore, even the Oisim Atzmo Roshin is also be'emes. There's also emes to it. Because God has so ordained inside the Maimon. Gam hergesh Hameitzar beifin sheisen atzmo roshin, even this hergesh, that we make ourselves poor because we cannot really grasp our insignificance. It's only like poor, it's not true bittul. Still, that is it's true. Why is it true? Like it's explained. Hashem is the God of knowledges. Knowledge is knowledge. Knowledge incorporates everything. What's knowledges in Lashon Rabim? Shem Shnei Days, because there are two perspectives, two knowledges that you, God, are responsible for. Das Elyon and Das Tachten. God's perspective and our perspective. But who made our perspective? He did. Shagam Das Tachten, you said that day because Das Tachten is also a perspective, a divine perspective, and therefore it's true. So the bittul that we can master, even on the one hand, it's only oisinatzmon, but that's a true perspective that we have because you made us this way, and Torah acknowledges our reality. Kel deis havaya. And therefore he says, therefore the call menameitz the Yidden say, because they make themselves poor, because they acknowledge intellectually they don't really feel it, they cannot. That's true. The menameitza is a true menameitza. It's the best we can possibly appreciate. And Hashem made us that way. Kel deis havaya. Das Tachten is a das al pi Torah. Yafa became at the same time we have to know what Das Tachten has to know, that the true perspective is Das Elyon. That Guf is part of Das Tachten. As he goes on to say, Amitisi Das Elyon Dafka, the true perspective, the objective perspective is Das Elyon. Haino, meaning the truth is that the Meitz is not only that we're making ourselves this way because we acknowledge again intellectually the truth, but really the truth is the way it is from Das Elyon. It's take a Hameitzar be'emes and kolochashiv. Shalafanav Yisbarach HaKol Roshim Be'emes, before God everything is impoverished in truth. And therefore, even someone on this lofty level, or Masik Asokos Nailis, but a person has profound understanding of a likus. Mitzad Das Elyon be'emes ari be'bechinas Meitza. Now, what this means, he just finished saying that he has Hasagas in a likus. That means he does have an element of Das Elyon. True. But even that's relative. Even when his understanding and his avodah is that Das Elyon illuminates him, bittul dikerid, and balmeseres nefesh. True, but neither gabi madregenalis yoisar is a bechinas Das Tachten belvad, like explained the Shefer Godel and the Shefer Stam. Relative to the higher levels of Das Elyon, this Das Elyon that he has is Das Tachten. Ukumavur betanya, like it says in Tanya, in the Perek Mem Vav, Shelafonav Yisbarach gam bechinas Das Elyon nidme kabhemus. Behemus ha'yisi yimach, brings the pasuk there from Tehillim. Why David HaMelech says behemus in the plural? Because there's stam behem, there's behema rabba. Even the behema, he says that the behema is begematria ban. It's Shem ban. 52, the Gemata Behema. That's when Yud Kevovki spelled with a filling letter as a hey. Hey is spelled hey, hey, not hey aleph or hey yud, but hey, hey. So that yields the Gemata Behema, which is 52. So what the double lashon Behema Sayisi Yimach says the Alter Rebbe when you Behema Rabba Shalifnei Atzilis. Even the level of not Stam Behema, Behema Rabba, the great Behema, which is Shemban, the way it is Shemban in Atzilus, but the Shemban the way it is higher than Atzilus. Even this is Behemoth Lagabe the Eibishter. No das at all. Like a behemoth, absolutely no intelligence to grasp spirituality. Was that clear? We just said now? Yeah. The behemoth Rabba Shalifnei Atzilus. Alter Rebbe says there, it's explicitly that Shemban. Like it's explained in the Kutei Torah and the Pasuk, you should know today and take to your heart. Shegam apichin nishach shev shel litovsam bavon vasoga kim boifen shalamuna belvad. Even those levels that now we can grasp and in understanding, we can only relate to them a level of Amunah, which is Bechinas Sovev of Kalalmin, with the transcendent and relatively infinite to us. Yumshucho explains there, they will be drawn down v'yiz galu. Those levels which are now transcendent will be grasped and internalized. And what's going to be? That's going to be what is now Sovev will become a Mali. And the Amunah then will continue on even loftier levels, and so it continues again, relatively ever higher. All right, so maybe we'll continue Zion tomorrow.